Good
morning, everyone. Happy St. Patrick's Day. This is the Committee on Commerce and Consumer Protection. We have some items on our hearing for this morning here in Conference Room 229. I'm joined by Senator Nishihara, Senator Bennett Misalucha, Senator Joy San Buenaventura, and on the screen is Senator Kurt Favela. So nice to have everyone here. You can tell that those of us in the room are Irish for the day, at least, so we have on our green. So Senator Favela, you need to find some green for yourself there. Okay, very good, awesome. Okay, the first bill on our agenda this morning is House Bill 459, House Draft 2, relating to commercial driver's license disqualification for severe forms of trafficking in persons. Good morning, Senator Riviere.
Good morning.
Welcome. We're just getting started here. So far on House Bill 459, we have testimony from Garrett Sakakita, Hawai'i Transportation Association in support. We have Carrie Bennis, Hawaii Strategic Highway Safety Plan in support. And we have, and my computer is not being nice to me. Okay, doesn't like Adobe Acrobat. Okay, we also have late testimony on this measure from the Department of Transportation in strong support, noting that this bill will put the state in substantial compliance with federal regulations. We had a deadline of 3 years from the effective date of the, sorry, I don't know what the acronym stands for, but it's the Federal MCSA Act gave us a deadline, and by passing this measure and sending it up to the governor for our signature, we will be in compliance, and therefore our federal funds will be secure. That's the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration that had that in their requirements. Okay, taking my computer away, giving me another one. Any other testifiers that may be on Zoom or had late testimony other than Department of Transportation? If not, members, shall we move forward to the next bill? Okay, this one is House Bill 940, House Draft 2, relating to securities. This mandates reporting of suspected financial exploitation of elders and vulnerable adults in relation to security, provides immunity for good faith reporting, authorizes the delay of disbursements and transactions in situations of suspected financial exploitation. This is part of the governor's package. Our first testifier, I believe, is joining us on Zoom, is Ty Nohara.
Good morning, Chair, members of the committee. My name is Ty Nohara, the Securities Commissioner with the Department of Commerce and Consumer Affairs. The department strongly supports this administration bill, and we are just requesting an amendment to make this measure effective upon approval. Be happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Okay. Members, any questions for Ty? All right. We also have Kathy Betts from Department of Human Services joining us on Zoom.
Good morning,
Hi,
Chair. Oh, sorry.
Hi, Madam Chair. She's not present.
Oh, no. Oh, well, I think we have her substitute. Go ahead.
Yes, good morning, Chair Baker, Vice Chair, committee members. I'm Lisa Amador from the Adult Protective and Community Services Branch, Administrator. DHS stands on our written testimony in support. Thank you.
Thank you. So I have you also listed separately, so you're doing both DHS's and you're part of DHS?
Correct. Thank you. Sorry for the confusion.
No problem. We just want to make sure everybody gets included. We don't want to leave anybody out. Our next testifier is representing AARP Hawaii, Audrey Suga Nakagawa, and she's supposed to be joining us on Zoom. Audrey, are you there? I don't see her. There she is. You are unmute yourself, Audrey.
Hi, I'm so sorry. I just got called away right at this moment. Yeah, so ARP, I'm so embarrassed. ARP stands on our testimony in support of this measure. We know that financial exploitation is one of the growing threat to especially to our older kupuna. So having protection measures like this, and having the financial professionals, providing another layer of safeguard will really help assist and minimize this threat to our seniors. So thank you very much for allowing us to testify in support of this measure.
Okay, thank you, Audrey. We also have on the Zoom call, I can see Cynthia Takinaka from NIFA.
Good morning, Chair. Cynthia Takinaka, National Association of Insurance and Financial Advisors. We are in strong support of this measure. It's going to be great to protect our seniors from financial abuse, and we urge your support of this measure. Mahalo. Thank you.
Thank you, Cynthia. And thanks for telling what NAIFA stands for. I tried a whole bunch of things, and I couldn't really come up with what I thought was the correct one, so thank you for that. Insurance, Security, and Financial Markets Association, SIMFA. We have a representative that submitted testimony. Do we have anybody on the Zoom call from this organization? I'm scrolling down. Kim Chamberlain, are you there? I don't see her. If not, members, we have their testimony. And then that was from the national organization, and then we have Security Industry Association of Hawaii. Also submitted testimony in support. Tony Goodrum. I don't see anybody else on the Zoom call this morning. So, members, any questions for any of the testifiers who are joining us with Zoom? Okay, thank you very much. We are going to be doing decision making at the end of our hearing, and Chair will be recommending that we pass this measure forward. House Bill 171, House Draft 1, is relating to property crimes. This is part of the Honolulu Police Department package. Changes the state of mind required for Section 486M-7 Hawaii Revised Statutes, penalties to intentionally, knowingly, or recklessly. We have Richard Dan, Kama'analone, joining us from Maui. Good morning, Richard.
Good morning. Thank you all for helping our community. I appreciate it very much. I stand by my testimony, and it makes no sense to me why this is happening. The law is a very good law, and they're changing. Initially, they wanted to take out the word knowingly, and then they want to put in knowingly, intentionally, and what's the last one? Knowingly, intentionally, and recklessly.
Recklessly, yes.
So knowingly, intentionally makes sense. Okay, fine, put in intentionally. But recklessly is vague and ambiguous, and it'll cause a lot of problems for everybody. I don't see why you're just leaving it the way it is, and why we have to make these tiny little changes for it really serves no purpose. But recklessly is a landmine, and I don't think we need it in the law.
Okay.
And I've been involved in the writing of this law from day one. I've been testifying at this legislature for a very, very long time, and this one makes absolutely no sense.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Dan. Appreciate your testimony.
Okay.
Our next testifier is Jonathan Spiker, Hawaii Pawnbrokers Association. Good morning, Jonathan.
Hi, good morning, Chair Baker, Vice Chair Chang, and committee members. Happy St. Patrick's Day. On behalf of the Hawaii Pawnbrokers Association, we respectfully oppose this bill. Pawnbrokers and secondhand dealers are licensed by their respective counties to buy and give loans on secondhand items. This is not reckless behavior. Pawnbrokers and secondhand dealers take a government-issued ID, fingerprint the customer, and submit all information to law enforcement. The law requires us to do that, and there's nothing reckless about this. If an item is purchased in good faith and all the legal requirements are met, but the item turns out to be stolen, that is not reckless behavior on the pawn shop or secondhand dealer. The legal definition of reckless is a conscious disregard of a substantial and unjustifiable risk that the person's conduct is of the specified nature. Examples of reckless behavior are shooting a gun into the air or driving 100 miles an hour in a 25 mile per hour zone. But if a small business owner is arrested because law enforcement deems the purchase to be reckless, then what defines reckless when pawn shops and secondhand dealers follow the proper procedure and cooperate with law enforcement? If a reckless state of mind is added to this statute, then the pawnbroker can be arrested for an innocent purchase of property. It's impossible to apply reckless to these types of transactions. How is a pawnbroker and secondhand dealer supposed to know if an item is stolen? Passing this bill could result in people being profiled and stereotyped based on their race, where they live, or how they dress. Even if a small business owner does his or her due diligence, follows the law, and acts in good faith, they could still inadvertently purchase something stolen, and in this case, if this bill is passed, the consequence would be a misdemeanor, a prison sentence, and a possible loss of business. And we believe there's a reason why reckless is currently not in the statute, because it doesn't work. It's impossible to apply the reckless standard to businesses. So in closing, I would say that the addition of the element of reckless behavior, it eliminates the necessary element of malicious intent, which is necessary to establish criminal intent in the commission of a crime. The term reckless gives law enforcement and the prosecution the power to charge whomever they want in the industry, so that the crime carries a loss of freedom, and we believe it's a violation of due process and the Fifth Amendment. So in closing, we say reckless cannot be applied, and we ask that you do not pass this bill in its current form. Thank you.
Thank you. You also submitted testimony for the Hawaii Gold and Silver Company. I didn't see anything different in there. We'll just note it for the record.
Chair Baker, if I may speak on that, that's my father's testimony. He's ill and unable to be here, and he asked if I could give a 30-second statement on his behalf.
Okay, thank you.
Father John Spiker.
We have his testimony. We'll accept it. Thank you. We're going to move forward. Members, any questions on this measure?
Yes.
Senator San Buenaventura.
Is HPD on the line?
No.
It's only the pawnbroker. Okay, well, I guess I do have a question for the pawnbrokers. One
Okay.
of them. The last person who spoke. Obviously, the AG believes that for some reason, the ID and the fingerprinting that you folks are required to do is not enough to catch the stolen merchandise. Is there any penalty in the event you do not get the ID and the fingerprints for the items you take in?
Hi, Representative. Yes, the current law does require a government-issued ID, a fingerprint, and documenting the customer's age, weight, height, date of birth, and all that. And then all that information is submitted to law enforcement. And actually, it has resulted in when secondhand dealers inadvertently purchase property that's stolen, it has successfully resulted in the recovery of property. And of course, the secondhand dealer or the pawn shop, they lose out because they paid the money and they don't get the item, which is fine because it was inadvertently turned out to be stolen. But yes, pawn shops and secondhand dealers there is penalties if they do not do the fingerprint and take a government-issued ID. That is the law, they must do that.
Yeah, what's the penalty if they don't do that and it turns out to be stolen?
If they do not, it's in HRS Chapter 486M, it makes it a misdemeanor if a pawn shop or secondhand dealer does not take a fingerprint or government-issued ID.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, members, any other questions? If not, let's move on to House Bill 1086, House Draft 1, relating to veterinarians. This measure provides veterinarians who provide emergency care to an animal immunity from civil liability in the absence of gross negligence. Provides veterinarians who render emergency treatment when there is no veterinarian client-patient relationship immunity from civil liability in the absence of gross negligence. Requires veterinarians to report events of animal injury, death, or abuse to law enforcement where there is reasonable cause to believe that it relates to dogfighting or animal abuse and gives veterinarians immunity for civil liability for making the reports. We first have Chelsea Fukunaga, Hawaii Board of Veterinary Medicine, Hawaii Board of Veterinary Medicine on Zoom.
Good morning. Sorry.
Go ahead.
Good morning, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. Chelsea Fukunaga on behalf of the Board of Veterinary Medicine. The board will stand on its testimony in support of this bill. I'll be here if you have any questions.
Okay, thank you. We also have on Zoom joining us this morning Stephanie Kendrick from the Hawaii Humane Society.
Good morning, Chair, Vice Chair, committee members. Stephanie Kendrick with the Hawaiian Humane Society. You have our written testimony and strong support of HB 1086, and it outlines the reasons why we support this bill and the benefits we expect it to have for the most vulnerable animals and people in our community the day it takes effect and every day thereafter. It's a really powerful piece of legislation. I just wanted to use my time with you this morning to acknowledge our local veterinarians who are asking for this responsibility, to have mandatory reporting of suspected animal cruelty. You know, as an animal lover, I've long had deep respect for our veterinarians, but this measure really highlights their compassion and their commitment to their profession. And I would ask the committee to give it your strong support. We are asking for a good effective date on this measure, and I hope you will pass it forward. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. We also have testimony and support from Pono Advocacy. We have another testimony from the Humane Society Veterinary Medical Association. We have testimony, all of this is in support. We have testimony and support from Hawaii Association of Animal Welfare Agencies, from the Hawaiian Humane Society, from a list of individuals: Alice Saul, Lynn Matasal, Marianne Hussenbucks, Dr. Eric Ako, who's a doctor of veterinary medicine, Will Karen, Michael Parker, Joanne Parker, Vivian Tollner, Ashley Wilcox, Kristen Greenland, Mary James, Jennifer Chiwa, Lee Kuchia, Laurie Foster, Carol Ridgelou, Helen Navarro, Jenny Tew, and we have another piece from a late testimony from the Hawaii Veterinary Medical Association. This one is signed by their Executive Vice President, Doctor of Veterinary Medicine, Jill Yoshido. Anybody else on the call wishing to offer comment on this measure? Members, any questions for any of the testifiers who are joining us? If not, let's move forward to House Bill 78, House Draft 1. This is relating to the underground construction of high voltage electric transmission lines. Eliminates the requirement for a public utility to seek approval from the PUC for underground construction of high voltage electric transmission lines if certain conditions are met. We have on the call, I believe, from DCCA, Dean Nishida. Dean, are you there?
Good morning, Chair Baker. This is Lisa Hiraoka. I'm speaking on behalf of Dean Nishina this morning.
Thank you, Lisa. Go ahead.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, Chair Baker, Vice Chair Chang, and committee members. Lisa Hiraoka on behalf of the Department of Commerce and Consumer Affairs. The department stands on its written testimony in support of the measure. We are here for questions. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. We have testimony from Jay Griffin, who is the chair of the Hawaii Public Utilities Commission. Good morning, Jay.
Good morning, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. You have our testimony in support of the measure. I just want to highlight for the committee here that this is a limited exemption in cases where a non-utility party would be paying the full cost of the undergrounding. And so primarily these would be cases where a housing developer decides to pay for this so that utility customers are not bearing the cost. When that's the case, all of the process would go through a normal review and approval. So I just wanted to clarify that. If you have any further questions, I'll stay here to answer, and thank you for the opportunity this morning.
Thank you, Jay. We also have testimony and support from Hawaiian Electric and from Mike Galoyo Sr. Members, any questions for Mr. Griffin? If not, I believe this brings us to the end of our agenda. So let's take a brief recess and we will do some decision making. Recess. Good morning, everyone. We will go into call the committee back to order for purposes of decision making. And where is my handy dandy? There we go. Okay. The first item on our agenda was House Bill 459, House Draft 2, relating to commercial driver license disqualification for severe forms of trafficking in persons. The chair recommends that we pass this with amendments, merely giving it a clean effective date of 7/1/2021. Any questions or comments? If not, Senator Nishihara, would you take the vote for the committee?
Okay. Chair.
Aye.
Senator Chang.
Aye.
Senator Misalucha.
Aye.
Nishihara goes aye. Senator Revere.
Aye.
Senator San Buenaventura.
Aye.
Senator Favela.
Aye.
Motion's adopted.
Thank you, members. Nice to see Senator Chang and Senator Favela on the screen this morning. Our next item is House Bill 940, House Draft 2, relating to securities. This mandates some reporting of suspected financial exploitation of elders. It was part of the governor's package. Chair recommends we pass this with technical, non-substantive amendments that were recommended by SMA and an effective date upon approval. Any questions or concerns? If not, chair votes aye.
Of the members present, any voting with reservations or opposition? Seeing none, motion is adopted.
The chair will just note for the committee that the goal, at least in my mind, for the bills that we can, is to get them in good shape with clean dates so we don't have to go to conference, because conference is going to be very short. The next item on our agenda is House Bill 171, House Draft 1, relating to property crimes. This has to do with knowingly, intentionally, knowingly, or recklessly. This was part of the Honolulu Police Department package. Unusual that they did not submit testimony. However, Chair recommends that we pass this with technical amendments. We need to rework the findings section to reflect the substance of the bill. Chair proposes that we delete the word recklessly and retain the word knowingly found in the existing law and make it effective upon approval. Any questions or concerns? If not, chair votes aye.
The members present, any voting with reservations or in opposition? Seeing none, motion's adopted.
Thank you, members. The next item is House Bill 1086, House Draft 1, relating to veterinarians. This has to do with some provision of immunity from civil liability for veterinarians who do their best in trying to provide emergency care. Chair recommends that we pass with technical amendments identified by SMA and an effective date of upon approval. Any questions, concerns? If not, chair votes aye.
Of the members present, any voting with reservations or in opposition? Seeing none, motion's adopted.
The next and last item on our agenda is House Bill 78, House Draft 1, relating to the undergrounding of high voltage electric transmission lines. Chair recommends that we pass this amendments to make to pass this bill with amendments to make the effective date 7/1/2021. Note in the committee report that ratepayers are not considered an entity within the purview of this bill. The purpose of the bill is to exempt from PUC approval if an entity, perhaps a developer who's creating a subdivision or other project, needs electricity and prefers undergrounding, say for aesthetic reasons, they pay the cost of undergrounding the electric lines, then the ratepayers would not be impacted, and therefore the PUC does not necessarily need to be involved. Any questions or comments? If not, pass with amendments, chair votes aye.
Of the members present, any with reservations or in opposition? Seeing none, motion's adopted.
Thank you, members. That brings us to the end. Do we have something else the rest of this week?
So we have a hearing tomorrow at 10.
Okay. 10 o'clock. So members, please join us tomorrow for a hearing at 10 o'clock in conference room 229. Thank you all for your participation and support. We are adjourned.